I want to welcome you to PLTW in Action High School Showcase. Today, we welcome all of you from across the country to discover ways that PLTW can provide an exceptional learning experience for your students, deliver training and professional development for you, and to share how we make programs possible through various funding opportunities. Before we begin, I'll share a few tips on how to maximize your webinar experience. Video and chat have been enabled for this webinar, so please interact and engage throughout our time together. Zoom breakout sessions will be utilized during this event. When the time comes, a button will pop up for you to select a breakout room. Please join the breakout room for the PLTW program in which you'd like to learn more about. Since we all know Zoom can be a bit finicky, we also ask that you edit your name and add which pathway breakout room you'd like to move to. To do this, you'll click the 3 dots that appear next to your video and select Rename. For example, Christy Cobb, PLTW Biomedical Science. By doing this, if there are issues with self-selecting the breakout room, our moderator can move you to the correct room. Now that housekeeping is taken care of, let's jump right into the agenda for today. Today, we're going to give you a brief introduction to Project Lead the Way and what it provides to you and your students. We'll have a discussion with a panel of PLTW administrators about the difference PLTW has made for their students, what successes they themselves have had, and how they've implemented PLTW programs into their schools. After hearing from your peers, we'll go into breakout rooms where you'll divide into specific PLTW pathways of your choice. So either computer science, biomedical science, or engineering. Once you're in breakout rooms, you'll learn more about the PLTW program of your choosing, hear directly from students about their experience, and engage in conversation with a teacher in the specific pathway. We'll also share implementation steps and various funding options that schools and districts have. And finally, we'll round out our time by answering any of the questions that you may have. So time and time again, we hear stories about how relevant and inspiring PLTW is to students. And research shows that PLTW students outperform their peers in school, are better prepared for post-secondary studies, and are more likely to consider careers in STEM fields compared to their non-PLTW peers. Let's see some of this in action.
The history of Project Lead the Way, it started in upstate New York, just north of Albany in the Shenandoah School District, which is just between Albany and Saratoga there. There was a really innovative teacher there, a guy by the name of Dick Blaze. He had implemented project-based learning in the STEM fields. My uncle was the first one to see it. I'm not sure how he ended up walking into that classroom, but the moment he saw it, he said, this is something that's really interesting. He owned a manufacturing company. He was really concerned, as was my grandfather, that we weren't generating enough students who could actually go to work in technical fields. When they saw that classroom, they said, how do we replicate this? How do we make it bigger than this one classroom? And that was sort of the seeds of Project Lead the Way. Project Lead the Way 25 years ago was one teacher in one classroom. When I first got involved and my uncle got involved, we said, this would be great if we could just get it in every high school in upstate New York. Like that would be like a huge win. My grandfather had the vision of this is something the entire country needs. And how do we do that? We couldn't do it on our own. The key to this, the expansion of Project Lead the Way, is that all across the country there were other people who saw this vision, and they just over time aligned to create Project Lead the Way in a way that it is today, which is at a scale that none of us could have imagined 25 years ago. Bob Kern, who was a founder of Generac, a big company in Milwaukee, Bob saw the same problem. He was trying to do the same work in Milwaukee. When Bob and Jim Ryan got behind it, that's really when Project Lead the Way moved west and started to create a national footprint.
January of 2009, the Kern Family Foundation made the first of several significant investments, not in individual schools, but in the infrastructure of Project Lead the Way National, to say what would happen if they had the school engagement force, the curriculum team, the other kind of a workforce that they would need to really get the growth of PLTW moving. So when the foundation began its interface with PLTW, PLTW was in roughly 300 schools. Today it's, over 12,000, almost 13,000 and growing. So that's worked out pretty well. Went from being a boutique program that was housed in the vocational technical education wing of the high school or middle school into a program that's now in many places been brought right into the main hub. When you think of launch and gateway, this is all students. This is not just a program for some. That mindset then has led to, the kinds of teacher training that's necessary to allow Project Lead the Way to be taught by teachers coming from a variety of different disciplines.
One of the first summers I was doing training with a master teacher, and I got up and I lectured for 40 minutes. And afterwards, Bob says to me, "Boy, you really know your material. You're outstanding. You can never do that again." That's not how we teach at the high school level. That's not how we can teach the summer training. And I was like, he's absolutely right. So this really changed how I teach and my career.
Project Lead the Way is enabling the next generation workforce to be ready for the challenges and to be ready for the opportunities and the possibility for growth yet ahead. Project Lead the Way is a comprehensive curriculum for students and for teachers. And the foundation provides confidence and empowerment so that the students feel like the possible truly is possible because they are rooted in a solid foundation.
In a recent study in Texas, PLTW Biomedical Science students who completed at least one PLTW Biomedical Science course were 49% more likely to enroll in college, 32% more likely to major in STEM in college, and 32% more likely to graduate with a bachelor's degree compared to their non-PLTW peers. That talks a lot about the impact, right? So often, students who normally don't step forward are the ones who shine in PLTW classrooms and discover future career paths. We also hear how teachers who've reached a burnout point have been reinvigorated once they've had the chance to teach PLTW. All across the U.S., the stories are consistent. PLTW's research-proven hands-on problem-based curriculum unlocks students and teachers' potential. And we know that proof holds more power when coming from your peers. So we want to engage one of our administrators to learn more about their experiences. So I want to go ahead and give a huge thank you to our panelist, Jennifer Renninger, for joining us today for this part of the discussion. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Of course. Just a quick introduction, a little bit more about Jennifer. She is the PLTW District Coordinator with Republic Schools in Missouri. And I'd love to kick off our conversation and really get to the heart of the matter about how has PLTW impacted your schools out there in Missouri?
Honestly, I would say that PLTW has been a game changer for us in our schools in Republic. We started with the engineering pathway in 2015-16, and from day one, the impact was honestly just huge. There's hands-on curriculum, and that combined with our incredibly passionate teacher, he's just a kid magnet. It created a learning environment that students absolutely loved. Their excitement was so contagious. So much so that it really wasn't long before we had another teacher who came forward and she said that she was interested in starting the PLTW computer science pathway. And then not long after that, we had a teacher who said that she was interested in starting biomedical. And so we have all three pathways in our high school and have for quite some time. I would say that what makes PLTW so powerful is that your students aren't just learning, they're actually doing, right? They're using the same tools and the technologies that people use in the industry today. And because of those experiences, students find their passion and they gain confidence so that they're able to leave our high school prepared for whatever comes next for them. Many of them go on to major in the very fields that they discovered through our PLTW programs. So what we're doing is truly building successful futures for kids while they're still in high school.
I love just hearing more about how those careers truly helped drive the program that you've created. How have they really impacted the way that you've selected those three different pathways or implemented them specifically within your schools? And has industry around you also played any impact in that as well?
Sure. So I would say that in PLTW, careers are really at the core of the entire program. Our kids are engaged in hands-on, industry-relevant experiences. They're developing technical and problem-solving skills, and they're developing the professional mindsets that align with the real-world careers. And so being exposed to those industry tools and being able to collaborate with professionals and experts in the field, and they're solving authentic challenges, it really helps them to discover their passions and refine those career interests and build a strong foundation for their success in the future.
Thank you for sharing that and more so around it. What aha moments have you seen students have, or have you had yourself with Project Lead the Way?
So there's been a lot of aha moments with our PLTW students. I would say that some of the most powerful ones happen when they present their work, such as to our Board of Education, and also some of the industry professionals. Because of that hands-on knowledge and real-world practice that they get with PLTW, they don't just explain what they're doing, they actually own it. They have that kind of confidence. They can articulate complex concepts very clearly, and they're really proud to showcase the innovative solutions that they've made together with other students and with the industry partners. And then what's even more inspiring is seeing them realize that their real-world work has value. They're tackling authentic challenges and creating solutions that actually make a difference. And they feel truly impactful in doing that. When experts in the field ask them those tough questions, they can provide strong, well thought out answers. And it reinforces the idea that their ideas really, truly matter. PLTW isn't just about teaching content. It's about empowering students to see themselves as capable and ready for future as problem solvers. It's really, truly been a game changer for so many of our learners.
It's really inspiring to hear just about how students feel empowered and they feel seen through the work that they're doing. I know that many times, students can come in a classroom, they learn new content, but they don't have a chance to showcase that content. But knowing that they feel seen in what they're doing, and they have an opportunity to showcase that is truly remarkable to hear and know that it's happening with Republic schools. What about your teachers? Can you share a little bit more about the impact that it's had on them, their reactions at the very beginning? And what it's like now for them.
Sure. So it's kind of a funny story that I want to share. When we first decided to do PLTW, we were told try to find a teacher that's that kid magnet, right? And so we did, and he was an agriculture teacher. That was his background. And he went to his first engineering training. It was an on-site training. It was far enough away he wasn't able to travel back and forth, to home for 2 weeks straight. And when he finished, after not having seen his family for 2 weeks, he didn't actually go see them. He came straight to me because he was so excited to share with me all of the work that he was doing and what he was excited to share with students. He was excited, he was thrilled, I should say, that he was going to be teaching trigonometry and that he understood it as a previous agriculture teacher, right? And that he understood it so well that he was going to be able to teach it to kids, hands-on, that practical experience with trigonometry, which is absolutely huge. Um, so seeing kids apply those concepts with actual materials rather than just learning them in theory was really truly a game changer for him and for his students as well. And I would say even since then, every single time that we have a teacher that goes through the training, they always come back and say that it's the best professional learning experience that they've ever had. They come back energized, inspired, and ready to bring some of that same level of engagement into their classrooms. PLTW doesn't just transform student learning. It reinvigorates teachers as well by giving them the tools and the training that they need to make learning truly meaningful.
It's incredible to actually hear that he went not straight home, but more so to talk about just the impact that the training was going to have and just the excitement. And now I can only imagine
Mhm.
the excitement that he's bringing into the classroom for students. And it all started in training, right? Which can make
Absolutely.
a very big difference in a teacher's career and their longevity of their career too. So I'm really glad to hear that one. I want to shift gears just a little bit and round out our time together, just thinking about something that is always on everyone's mind when they're thinking about implementing a new curriculum or a program, and that's funding. Were there any funding hurdles you experienced in starting or sustaining your program, and how are you continuing to maintain it now?
That's a really good question. Of course, we started in 2015-16, so we've had some experience with this, bringing on all 8 of our buildings in our district. And when we first started, we were really fortunate to have a superintendent who was fully committed to bringing PLTW to our district. I would say he was even willing to move mountains to make it happen. That's how strongly that he felt about it. And while funding can really be kind of a major hurdle for large programs like this, we've really been able to take advantage of numerous grant opportunities, both through PLTW and through our state education office that has a big focus on STEM. Um, and so, thanks to these grants, we've been able to cover much of the initial cost for materials in the teacher training when we're bringing on new courses or new modules, as well as sustain program with actually minimal annual expenses.
I love that you mentioned the grant opportunities. I know that once we go into some of our breakout rooms, we'll hear a little bit more about the various different funding opportunities that you all can take advantage of in order to get your program started or expand the programs that you have currently in your schools. And highly recommend you ask some questions around it or learn about how that process really works to support you. Jennifer, I just want to go ahead and say thank you so much for taking some time out of your, I believe, a very busy schedule and to just share a little bit more with us about PLTW. So thank you again for joining us today.
Yeah.
Now that you've had some administrator insight on school success with PLTW, we like to share more details and teacher insight about PLTW Engineering, PLTW Computer Science, and PLTW Biomedical Science in breakout rooms. Just a reminder, you'll be able to choose which pathway you'd like to hear more about by selecting the specific breakout room. Don't worry if you want to hear details about more than one program. We'll be sending out the recording for each breakout room after the event for you to reference. And so shortly, you'll see the breakout room options pop up on your screen. Please select the breakout room that you'd like to attend. And if you don't see the pop-up, don't worry, our moderator will make sure you make it to the right place.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Taylor Pewitt. I am one of the product marketing managers here at Project Lead the Way. I want to thank you all for being with us today. I'm excited to share more about our engineering pathway here, so we will get this kicked off. So as you can see, PLTW's engineering creates a much more dynamic and energizing experience than your typical high school classroom. I might be biased because I am leading this presentation. I think it's phenomenal, but you'll see that specifically more in some of the videos that we have later on. So what really makes PLTW engineering curriculum different? PLTW engineering is focused on real-world experiences that reflect those of engineering professionals. This really helps students to adopt a problem-solving mindset and make that leap from dreamers to doers and achievers. In every course, students will experience unique problem-based approaches and use software to help them utilize tools that they might be using in the real workplace after graduation. So we try and make it relatable for students and really applicable to those careers. PLTW has been providing this curriculum for engineering for over 26 years now. It was where we started. It's our bread and butter, and that's why I was alluding to it being the cream of the crop of engineering curriculum. Countless students who have learned by designing a glider, for example, programming an autonomous space rover, exploring algae as a biofuel source, or even designing safe, clean water systems for communities, and taking that to the field so that they have the experience that they can provide to careers as they pursue them. Moving forward a little bit, I want to dive more into the curriculum itself. So to give you a better sense of PLTW's full-blown engineering curriculum, let's briefly chat about Engineering Essentials. Engineering Essentials, it's designed as a first exposure experience to inspire students of all backgrounds to explore the breadth of engineering-related career opportunities. Each unit introduces students to a variety of careers by providing diverse examples, and these have clickables, I completely forgot. Examples of engineering professionals engaged in addressing engineering challenges. This is from increasing global equity through international relief efforts and discovering alternative energy solutions, and possibly even planning for sustainable cities and inventing new technologies to improve people's health. So the possibilities are truly endless. Now, when we look at the course offering for engineering, there are 10 different courses within the engineering program, allowing you to implement the program in a variety of ways that make the most sense for your school and for your students. A PLTW team member can work with you through the implementation process to help identify what courses make sense for you and to build a plan to bring them to your school. To help you better understand those course offerings, we'll send you a course brochure as a follow-up to this webinar, and we'll encourage you to share it with your colleagues if you have other people that might be interested in learning more. In terms of professional development, at the root of the student experience and success, of course, are teachers. To prepare our teachers to lead the learning and build their confidence in subject areas, we provide professional development. PLTW core training is designed to create dynamic learning experiences for educators through powerful and flexible instructional support, as well as an ongoing professional community. Teachers can take on the role of a student. They can engage in in-depth exploration of PLTW coursework and gain priceless experience to take back to their classrooms. Additionally, PLTW provides additional learning opportunities following the initial training with our professional development suite. This gives all pre-K through 12 educators additional instruction and skilled-based trainings to continue building student success as they advance. Algebra 1 Advantage. This is one that I have another invested interest in because it's big on my plate, but PLTW Algebra 1 Advantage is a new supplemental curriculum. This is designed to revolutionize the teaching of Algebra 1. Its flexible nature allows teachers to effortlessly integrate these resources into their existing curriculum. The program focuses on enhancing student engagement in algebra through active participation and exploration. It achieves this by offering a variety of problems and projects and investigations that are not only relevant, but also aligned with educational standards, facilitating their incorporation into lesson plans. So this can easily be used with a core program to help drive up that engagement and interest for your students. Algebra 1 Advantage, or A1A, because PLTW has so many acronyms here, adopts an interactive approach that links algebra to real-world scenarios, effectively answering that common question, when will I ever use this? In fact, I like to say with Algebra 1 Advantage, we're, pun intended, solving for why. So this connection to practical applications serves to improve student problem-solving skills, and in response to the limitations of traditional teaching methods, the program also employs interactive and applied learning technology or techniques to make algebra more engaging and relevant. This is achieved by including a range of topics like financial literacy, societal and environmental impact, law, criminology, engineering, architecture, and a lot more, just to help drive the overall learning experience for students and provide something that they can really relate to. So I'm going to copy and paste a link in the chat here for y'all, just so if you want to learn more about A1A, you are more than welcome to check this out here. If I can find chat. There you go. All right, so moving on, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this presentation for engineering. We want to walk through and provide a big picture of PLTW engineering and allow you to hear directly from some of the students. Last year, we were able to interview some of the students about their engineering experience. And while watching the interviews, keep an eye out for the transportable skills that these students possess. We really couldn't be more proud of these students and hope you can see the same thing that we see in them as well.
My favorite is the NASA Hunt project that we're currently working on for our senior capstone course, which we are designing.
Is the audio coming through and everything? Okay.
Walk around Starship in space.
I would have to say the project would be building rockets in aerospace with Mr. James, because we couldn't fly them if they weren't safe. So we had to constantly check and make sure that all the specifications were met, and just trial and error to make sure that we were going to be
I love the thing. So it's the best part that I can put my ideas out there and have other people's ideas on the table, and so you know, stick my ideas, and that was great. You go there so I can check things out again. I think that is the best way to do things done.
I like the fact that the teachers here care about what they're doing. They're passionate about what they teach, and they treat us like adults usually to college.
Probably
Oh, I clicked the chat and then it froze.
out of all the PLTW courses, I really like building things and seeing how they worked out and testing them and then going back and fixing everything that went wrong. And that one was most like that.
I mean, you have to be some of the person and not shut down other people for their ideas.
As of right now, I have been admitted to OSU, and so I'm going to go there, and I will major in aerospace engineering.
Well, I plan on attending OSU and majoring in mechanical and aerospace engineering, and after that, I'd like to work for a race team.
Yes, actually, that has helped me realize what I enjoy doing, what I don't enjoy doing, what I'd like to do in the future. And then what aspects of everything kind of go together in a way. But yeah, I think definitely.
All right, so that was from our students. Hopefully that'll be beneficial to y'all, and we can share out some of these videos as well as we move along. Next, what I want to do is invite Michael to speak with us and maybe answer some questions and give us an idea of his experience with Project Lead the Way, what he's doing in his classroom, and get a better idea, paint a picture of an implementation from his lens. So Mike, I appreciate you being with us. I know you're our National PLTW Engineer Teacher of the Year, which is awesome. Wanted to start out just getting an idea, what was the initial motivation for bringing PLTW engineering to your school and district, and what problem were you solving by doing that?
Well, so can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Tyler? Okay, so our district-wide, we added Project Lead the Way. We're a small county in Maryland. We added Project Lead the Way district-wide about 21 years ago. And our school came on board in the second batch, which was about 16 years ago. Now, the need that we were really filling is, up to that time, our CTE curriculum, what used to be technology education, years back it used to be wood shop and industrial arts. It had kind of, fell out of favor. Had kind of become a dumping ground for students who were problem students, and they wanted to give them something to hands-on activity so they could stay out of trouble and everything. And our county really wanted to bring back technology education in a big way. So we tied it to engineering. We got on board with Project Lead the Way. And being in Southern Maryland, we're very close to a lot of the big engineering firms in the country. So it was a great fit for us being in that locale. And the need it really filled is giving those students who really wanted to do something technology education related, something engineering related, but weren't really interested in, say, industrial arts or wood shop or something like that. And it really paid dividends because our enrollment immediately shot up in those classes. And it brought up our CTE program as a whole, including computer science. The classes are so rigorous in the academy that the state gave them all GT endorsements, gifted and talented endorsements. So students were really interested in enrolling in these classes and getting the experience. And once they're enrolled in that first class, Introduction to Engineering Design, they're really hooked as engineers. And there's a very low recidivism rate of them, dropping out of the class and moving on. They really want to stick with it, with the academy once they're in it and finish it out.
Oh, that's awesome. I think that would probably resonate with a lot of users of our PLTW engineering program. And you almost alluded to the next question I was going to ask. What's been the impact of PLTW engineering on your students?
So our county as a whole, over the last couple years, every year we've graduated about 200 students that are going directly into engineering in college. Of that, my school's one of the largest in the county. It's the largest in the county, one of the largest in the states. We're a comprehensive high school, yet we're graduating 41 engineering students every year. And so at this point, we have over 200 that are out there. They've gone through college and everything. They're working in engineering fields. And it's just really amazing to see because, a lot of times as a teacher, you're with those students for a short 4 years or maybe just one class, and you really never see them again. You really don't know where they end up. We're still in touch with our former students. They're working at engineering firms around our school and around the country. They come back and act as judges. They keep in touch with us. They tell us all the fascinating things they're doing. Like we have two that are with Goddard Space Center right now, and they're talking about what they're doing with the satellites and everything. So really seeing that benefit as a teacher, that what you're really teaching is impactful and really makes a difference in these students' lives. And they don't have to be gifted and talented straight A students to begin with. They just really have to have that interest in engineering and that motivation to try their hardest.
Yeah, I think a lot of students could resonate with that. I mean, everybody learns differently, but if you can become ingrained with a hands-on, interactive, like interesting curriculum, you can help break down some of those barriers. Sharing a little bit more about what it's like teaching a PLTW classroom and how that's impacted you.
Well, to tell the truth, it's just a pleasure to go in and teach every day. And I mean, most of my colleagues that I've ever have teach a project either way, they're like, we could teach this the rest of our careers and be perfectly happy. And I feel the same way. I mean, the curriculum isn't static. It's not. It doesn't get old and worn out. I mean, it's always relevant. It's always exciting for the students. And just being able to teach excited, motivated students every day and see them go on to do amazing things in the field, it's just very worthwhile. And it really makes teaching more enjoyable than it already is.
That's great to hear. And I don't think you're alone, especially in that matter. Now we know that there are many ways to implement a PLTW program into a school. Would you mind sharing a little bit more about how you implemented the programs, and then also provide a little bit of advice for those that might be interested?
So our implementation, it's kind of tough the first year because students don't really know what the program is about. Parents who've had students go through the program, go through the school and graduated in previous years, they didn't have these classes, so they don't know what they're all about. So you've really got to build that interest in the program and the buy-in from the students. We did a lot of visits to 8th grade orientation and visited a middle school. We brought some of the interesting things the students were working on to the middle school so we could hook that next batch of students. But we rolled it out over 4 years. So the first year we got trained in IED, and then we taught it OE, and then we taught it that following year. And it was kind of nice. The training that you do is so comprehensive, squeezing a whole year-long curriculum into 2 weeks. It sounds kind of crazy, but the fact that we went through it over those 2 weeks, we were well prepared for the school year. And just that slow phased implementation, 1 year after another, by the time we got to our 5th year, there was the community, the students, the parents, they knew what the program was about, and we didn't have to do as much recruiting as we had done initially. The first couple years, it's expensive as you're buying all the equipment and everything, but once that equipment is online, it's really just consumables that you're buying every year, and the cost goes down from there. But the startup is a little expensive just because, like, with SIM, we chose SIM as one of our junior year classes. We had to get a mill. Mills were, $20,000. So that was $20,000 per school. But, we've had that mill for 10, 15 years now, and it's really paid for itself. So there's a little bit of that startup implementation, but once that's taken care of, it's really just consumables each year that you're buying for the program.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And even when you mention the professional development, I think that's one of the things that we've done really well is understand that every implementation is going to be slightly different, especially in a matter of the education level of those that are going to be teaching these classes. So for us, it's really important to ensure that educators have what they need and the knowledge they need to successfully feel comfortable providing these lessons that might be out of their wheelhouse. So yeah. But yeah, Mike, we greatly appreciate you taking the time to share your experience and hopefully get others interested in the program. And we will continue to move this recording along.
Yeah, a couple quick hints as people start their program. And Project Lead the Way does this to some extent as well, but it's easier for the classroom teacher. Have those students add you to LinkedIn. Keep track of what they're doing after they graduate, because if you have them on LinkedIn and you have parents or other students asking, well, what kind of jobs can he get after going through Project Lead the Way, you have a list of 200 students and you see what their positions are and everything, and you're like, well, this one's a nuclear engineer, this one's a civil engineer, these are mechanical engineers and electrical engineers, and they all came through the same program. So that's one of those things that I just want to put out there as kind of a hint as you're getting started. I wish I would have done it my first 4 or 5 years, but I've done it since, so it's worked out.
No, that's a great tip. Awesome. Well, Mike, we appreciate you hopping on to share your experience. Next, what we want to do is dive more into a classroom experience. So I'm going to share the next slide here, and we'll hear from some of the students and educators using as well to see the classroom experience.
It's a lot more challenging than just being a regular high school student, balancing all the aspects of my life plus everything that our PLTW teacher has us do is difficult, but it's fun at the end of the day. PLTW, they introduced me really to all of this. They really ignited my love for what I'm doing here today.
PLTW has affected the way I teach because it's project-based, so it allows me to develop a much stronger relationship with the students. Project Lead the Way gives us the freedom to take those ideas, concepts, whatever, and take them outside the environment. They take all of the maths, the sciences, the metallurgical stuff, the chemistry that they've learned, and they actually apply it.
It's really prepared me well. A lot of the stuff that I've done here, we've also done in class on a smaller scale.
I'm proud of seeing the students be successful, because ultimately the program is successful because of the students, not me. They're the ones who make the program what it is. So the confidence to not be afraid to fail. Fail forward, fail often, but keep coming back for more. It's a culture shock to walk into my room because I encourage kids to get up, move around, let's get after it really quickly instead of let's sit in rows and columns and I lecture and you just take notes. Like, that's not the way my program runs. So as a teacher, you have to be able to give up a little bit of control. Let the kids sort of control that environment. Don't be afraid to make the class fun.
It feels like by doing this, I could go out and get a job wherever I wanted. Without it, I probably wouldn't be doing this stuff until I was graduated from college. Any high school student, if they took the right path at our high school, could have been in the same position I was in here today.
We have several students who hold patents now for the companies they work for. So that's a worldwide impact from little old Tusky Valley.
I always enjoy hearing from the students and the way that their careers and lives are going to be changing going through our classes. It's exciting to hear, especially as they're working their way through the program. The next part I want to talk through are the varying costs. So PLTW programs do have a variety of costs, but each program includes investments within 3 primary categories. There are the participation fees, professional development, and equipment and supplies. The participation fee is an annual fee that covers all of the curriculum access and software rights for your PLTW programs. To be able to teach one of your courses, a teacher must also be trained by PLTW in a core training experience. This is an online training led by some of the best PLTW teachers in the country. And we also just recently, over the past year, have gone back to in-person as well. So that's an option to pursue too. Lastly, our curriculum is project-based and very hands-on. So there are some equipment and supplies that you'll need for your implementation. Now that we know a little bit more about the investments needed, let's talk about some of the funding opportunities to help grow your programs. So every year we have a wide variety of PLTW grants available for all the different programs in our pathways. We've got grants for brand new programs as well as programs that are looking to expand. These PLTW grants are made possible by our partnerships with leading organizations across the country. In 2023, PLTW provided over 1,600 grants totaling just over $17 million and awarded across 50 states and DC. And this year, we have even more grants available to schools than ever before. So if you're looking to make a bigger impact in your district with PLTW by adding new programs, new PLTW grants will cover the cost of teacher training as well as program participation fees. We have other grants that also cover equipment and supplies. So definitely check out our grant opportunity webpage to find out more and schedule a meeting with your local PLTW team member. We are ready and willing to find out more about your district vision and help you with your grant application if necessary. Now, speaking a little bit more about grants. So through these grants, PLTW will partner with your school district to help you throughout the PLTW implementation journey. Applying for these grants is easy through our simple application process located in the My PLTW account. If you don't already have one, you can create this account quickly and easily on our website. We award grants on a rolling basis from July 1 to June 30, so schools may submit applications annually. PLTW does also keep applications on file until June 30th of each year, so we can consider these schools for more than one grant opportunity throughout the funding cycle. Our PLTW grant opportunities are an amazing opportunity, especially this year, so we do encourage everyone to apply for these. Noting the specific call out to evidence-based curriculum, I do want to be sure that everyone is aware of our evidence papers. One for each grade band is available, which enable you to not only dive deeper into the structure of our evidence-based curriculum, but also learn about our unique problem-based learning approach, so APB, like we mentioned earlier in the presentation. Then you can also review the research that supports the positive impact that PLTW has on student achievement. You can download these resources from our website. Besides PLTW grants, there are several funding opportunities for you to utilize along with those. To help you break it down and compare, we have created a funding side-by-side resource also available on our website. This will help you see what federal funds are available and which ones can be used for which of the 3 investment areas for our programs. You're probably also wondering, where do I start? And we want to help you out with that too. So to start out, next steps. We recommend that you connect with a PLTW team member to discuss any questions you have. You can also visit pltw.org. On our PLTW engineering page, you can use the range of resources like the course outline, the course resumes, and standards connections to help you plan your implementation. Read blog stories as well. We have a bunch of those that highlight schools that have seen success, as well as students and the careers that they have pursued after being enrolled in PLTW programs. Also, be sure to apply for grant funding, like I just mentioned, on my PLTW Direct or mypltw.org. Other than those pieces to consider, I do want to thank you all for joining today. This concludes our webinar. And Michael, a special thanks again for joining to talk about your experience. If anyone has any questions, please just drop those in the chat. We'll make sure we can answer them for everyone. For those of you that won't be staying on, thank you again for your time. Within the next week, you will receive an email with this recording of the webinar and additional resources to help answer questions you might have. If you'd like to connect one-on-one with a PLTW team member to develop a more succinct implementation plan, feel free to contact the PLTW Solution Center. Our Solution Center is available 24/7 at 877-335-7589. or solutioncenter at pltw.org. Other than that, I appreciate you all joining today and hope you have a wonderful rest of the week.
Okay, so now that we're in our breakout, I want to welcome you again and say thanks for joining us for the PLTW Biomedical Sciences breakout. My name is Autumn Berry. I'm the Senior Director of the Implementations team here at Project Lead the Way. So we are excited to share more with you about our PLTW Biomedical Sciences program. So PLTW Biomedical Science is focused on real-world experiences that tie directly to the day-to-day challenges of biomedical science professionals. And you can go ahead and click through those. In every course, students will experience our unique problem-based approach and take on the role of professionals in the field. In these roles, the students learn and apply the lab or clinical skills they need for success, and they also adopt transportable skills such as collaboration, communication, presentation, and that help them interact with their peers and communicate their findings. This helps drive their success outside of the classroom, both in college and in their future career. Differing from our common science electives, PLTW Biomedical Science encourages students to integrate components of all their science curriculum to solve problems, which then leads to a deeper understanding of their core knowledge and skills, but also a higher appreciation for what they're learning inside their classroom in relation to their future careers. Based on anecdotal evidence from our former PLTW Biomedical Science teachers and students, this is really the part of the curriculum that resonates with them and becomes a highlight of their entire experience. And I think we heard a little bit of that from our panel earlier. So the PLTW Biomedical Science program encompasses a series of 5 courses you can see here on this slide. They're designed to provide an in-depth exploration of the biomedical sciences. These courses include Principles of Biomedical Science, Human Body Systems, Medical Interventions, Biomedical Innovation, and our newest course, the PLTW Capstone. This challenges students to apply their acquired knowledge to solve complex problems. Through these courses, students investigate various biomedical topics, they engage in real-world challenges, and they develop skills essential for careers in the biomedical field. The courses in the pathway are structured so that schools can implement them flexibly in the way that works best for them and their students and their school situation. Additionally, we have virtual learning assets that have been developed for each course so schools can implement the curriculum face-to-face or online. Throughout the curriculum, students become skilled in the techniques that are in demand in today. On this next slide here, you can see our Principles of Biomedical Sciences course, one example. This is the first course in the sequence. Students explore various challenges in the course, like solving forensic and clinical mysteries, designing health promotions, and even controlling a medical outbreak through a series of emergency measures. To help you see this course curriculum and activities firsthand, we'll send you a walkthrough video as follow-up to the webinar. We encourage you to share it with others to see how the course looks like for students. At the root of the student experience and success, of course, are our teachers. To prepare educators to lead the learning and build their confidence in subject areas, we provide professional development. PLTW core training is designed to create dynamic learning experiences for educators through flexible instructional support, as well as ongoing access to a professional learning community. Teachers take on the role of a student, engage in in-depth exploration of PLTW coursework, and gain priceless experience to take back to their classrooms. Additionally, PLTW provides learning opportunities following the initial training experience with our professional development suite. This gives all pre-K to 12 educators additional instructional and skill-based trainings to continue building student success. And one of our newest additions in the PLTW professional development and courses is the PLTW Algebra 1 Advantage supplemental curriculum. And that's on our next slide. This is designed to revolutionize the teaching of Algebra 1. Its flexible nature allows teachers to effortlessly integrate these resources into their existing curriculum. The program focuses on enhancing student engagement in algebra through active participation and exploration. It achieves this by offering a variety of investigations, problems, and projects that are not only relevant, but also aligned with educational standards, facilitating their incorporation into lesson plans. PLTW Algebra 1 Advantage adopts an interactive approach that links algebra to real-world scenarios, effectively answering that common question, when will I ever use this? This connection to practical applications serves to improve students' problem-solving skills. In response to the limitations of traditional teaching methods, the program also employs interactive and applied learning techniques to make algebra more engaging and relevant. This is achieved by including a range of topics like financial literacy, societal and environmental impact, law and criminology, architecture and engineering, and more. Thereby, it enriches the overall learning experience for students in their algebra. We invite everyone to follow our progress with Algebra 1 Advantage by scanning the QR code on the screen or going to our webpage, pltw.org/A1A. Now that we've provided you a big picture, you've seen a little bit about our PLTW Biomedical Science program, we want you to hear directly from some of our students. Last year, we were able to interview students about their experience, and while watching the interviews, I want you to keep an eye out for the transportable skills that you see these students possess. We couldn't be more proud of them, and we hope you are as you get a little glimpse into the student experience through this video.
I think for me, it's getting to discover new things that I wouldn't be able to discover on my own. Different fields that I might not have known about. So the forensic side of things or environmental side of things. It just really opens a whole new world.
I also want to go into the medical field, but I don't know exactly what I want to do. And I feel like by looking at different careers in this, it's definitely helped me to know what I don't want to do. It's helped me see oh, I don't think I like that very much. And then other things I'm oh, I could be interested in that. It's helped me to narrow down my options for sure. I'd say like a lot of the stuff that we do in our PLTW class like might help with other skills in classes. Like I know this year we did a lot of stuff with like statistics and stuff, and that helped with stuff that we might be doing in like math. It's definitely a much more hands-on class than any other class that I take. It's not like just sit down and start writing and stuff like that.
I like that like we test things, like actually do it on ourselves so we know how to do it on other people. Obviously if I go into a medical career, which I want to, it's gonna help me. Today like we learned how to take vitals, so like I'm already gonna have a head start on knowing how to do all of that.
I think our most helpful part is like whenever we get to work on our projects together with partners.
It's not just one answer is always right. There's multiple correct answers.
We just have like a lot of open discussions where we can all like bounce ideas off of each other, and that just makes it feel more like you're heard, more like your ideas are being like valued.
All right. Now, we're going to jump to Jenna, but I love hearing from our students. Every time I hear from them, it reminds me of why I do what I do. And as a former PLTW Biomedical Science teacher, it brings joy to me. So very exciting to see our students. And now let's hear from one of our amazing educators, Jenna Miller. Thank you for joining us, Jenna, and for being willing to share your story with us today. Jenna is here from Carolina Forest High School in South Carolina. She's one of our PLTW Biomedical Science teachers. And we have some questions to ask. So let's start with, tell us a little bit about what the initial motivation was for bringing PLTW Biomedical Science to your school and district. What problems were you trying to solve?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Autumn. I'm super excited to share out with educators across our country about biomed and how awesome it is. But I teach at Carolina Forest High School in Erie County, South Carolina. If anybody knows where Myrtle Beach is, that is right in the heart of the Grand Strand where I'm at. And for my school, specifically for Carolina Forest High School, we were really looking for a program that would help our students explore different career fields while also being able to build practical real-world skills that they would be able to take with them after graduation, whether it was into the workforce, whether it was into college, and they'd be able to go confidently in the next step in their path. And also looking for a way to always put them ahead of the pack. We want to make sure that they are able to be strong performers, that they have a chance when they get out of school, and they can truly just be successful in whatever path of life they take.
I love that. Help give them the opportunity to get ahead of the pack. That's wonderful. So that's really kind of leading into what I wanted to ask you next was, what's been the impact of PLTW Biomedical Sciences on your students? Have you seen that come to life?
Absolutely, 100%. The impact, it really varies from student to student. Some kids go in to biomedical science and they're like, hey, I think this is really cool. Maybe this is something that I want to do. Let's try it out and see if it is. And for some kids, it turns out that they're like, oh, this may be a little bit more than what I bargained for. And that's okay, because at the high school level, it's okay to take those risks. And I mean, this is a safe place to be able to do that. And of course, I'm going to love having them in my class regardless. So that's always a good time with them and allowing for them to explore a different field of science. But for others who just really take to it, the PLTW class really just turns a spark into a flame. And it just helps to grow their passion of biomedical science because they're getting those hands-on skills. They're starting to see, okay, this is what I'm gearing up for when I get out of high school, or even when I go to the next course in the series. I teach principles of biomedical science as well as biomedical innovations. And so it's really neat to see those kids grow their love of biomedical science, and especially take it on to the next level after graduation, whether it's going to nursing school. We've had some students join fire academies where they've had to apply skills, life-saving skills that they learned in PLTW, like taking vitals from people that they've pulled from house fires or structure fires, making sure that they're okay and assessing them. I've had students go into EMT programs. I've had students even go into honors pharmacology programs, and all of that love and all of that motivation drive was really fostered and grown by the PLTW program at our school.
That's so exciting to hear. perfect examples of how you did take that spark and turned it into the flame, and how the curriculum and experience in your classroom helped with that. So can you share a little bit more then about what it's like teaching a PLTW classroom? How's it impacted you now in your career outside of how it's impacted your students?
So I like to kind of give people a heads up before they come and visit my classroom, because my classroom looks very differently than some other folks' classroom, than your typical science classroom. I like to call my classroom a little bit of coordinated chaos, because my kids are all deep diving into the material, but it would look like you have a bunch of teenagers who are chitter chattering away. But if you listen closely, it's all biomedical science related, and it's really them picking apart a crime scene or looking at evidence and getting excited about it and trying to figure out, okay, who does this sample belong to? Or, uh-oh, what's wrong with this patient? Bouncing ideas off of each other as far as what a potential diagnosis could be for that individual and how they arrived at that diagnosis. So it's a little bit shocking at first for newcomers, but once you kind of get into the rhythm of everything and see how it works, you really start to see some amazing things going on. And it turns into really good noise, so to speak. As far as how it's impacted my career as an educator, I'm about 10 years into my teaching career right now, and this has really put a lot of wind back in my sails. I was starting to kind of go down the burnout path, and then one day when my administrators came up and they're like, hey, how do you feel about getting trained for biomedical science? And as a nurse's daughter and growing up wandering the halls of teaching hospitals, thanks to my mama, I was like, absolutely, like, let's jump in, let's see how this goes. And it really, like I said, just put a lot of wind back in my sails. It allowed for me to reach out to new community members, make new connections, all the way from elementary school up to the collegiate level when we tie some of their research into our BI class. And it's even drawn my family in as well, because I'll come home, whether it's from school or even when I was going through training, I'm like, hey, mom, this is what we're learning about. What do you think it is? And allowed for us to engage in that medical conversation as well. So it's really just drawing people from all corners to get invested in this program, to get excited about it, aside from the students.
That's great. What a great connection with your family. And I love that it sparked your interest and kept you invigorated in your teaching career and impacting your students, because we can tell you're having a great impact on them. So we're thankful you're still there doing that. Can you tell us a little bit about how you actually implement the program in your school? So maybe some of our attendees might hear some advice on how schools can build the case to keep the program and to continue growing the program and have the success that you've had.
Sure. So our project Lead the Way, it falls under CTE, which is short for Career Technology Education. And what we do is to first start out in Principles of Biomedical Science, which is the first level course in the Biomed series. Our students have to take and pass either biology college prep or biology honors. And then from there, they kind of get the clearance that, you know what, you have the foundation that you need to be successful in this series of courses. Let's rock and roll. And from there, we have our students, they can jump through the program as quickly or as slowly as they want. Once they kind of get a taste of Principles of Biomed, though, they kind of catch that bug and they want some more of it. So that very quickly leads them into human body systems and medical interventions, and then biomedical innovations. Now we run on a semester schedule. So our students, technically speaking, if they schedule everything right, they can complete the entire pathway for biomedical science in a series of about 2.5 years. So it is something that they can knock out. They can use it as CTE credits. They can use it as elective credits, just to build that knowledge and further prepare them for what their next step in their life journey may be. But if someone's looking for just some pro tips, as I call them, for keeping around their program and growing their program, one of my main tips would be to explore your resources. The PLTW community, I'll tell you, is an amazing community, and they are a strong community. They are kind, they are caring, and if someone pops on a Facebook page related to biomed saying, hey, does anybody have something that is really great for this activity that works for their kids, you'll get dozens of answers and people coming together and collaborating, which is really a beautiful thing because we only see so many people in our day-to-day lives. But, you know, once we start going online and sharing and connecting with other teachers, I mean, really, there's no limit to it. So we've heard of some really great resources coming from outside and online collaboration. And I would also say rest knowing that you are bringing amazing educational opportunities to your students. And I mean, I look back often when I'm teaching and I'm like, how I wish I had this program when I was going through high school. Holy cow. Especially in the biomedical sciences, they're bringing lab skills to freshmen, sophomores, juniors, okay, even your late coming in seniors, that some people may not see until later on in college. Like, for example, gel electrophoresis and micropipetting and PCR. I was a biology and a marine science major in college, and I didn't see any of that until my junior year. So the fact that these kids are getting that skill and learning how to fine tune it at such an early age just means that once they get to college, they're going to be able to fly like crazy and just really, really soar. Then my final pro tip would be recruit, recruit, recruit. Just talk to anybody and everybody that you can about the program. My school, we actually just had what we called Power Lunch last Friday. And we put up flyers about the program. We said, hey, this is a really cool program that we have. If you're interested, join us for lunch. We'd like to tell you a little bit more about it. And at first, it was our first one. So we were kind of a little bit weary. We were figuring out, okay, how many kids are we going to have? Are we going to have like 2, maybe 5? Like, who all's going to show up? And it ended up that we had about 30 to 40 kids packing my lab and just wanting to know about this program. And by the end of the Power Lunch, they were excited. They were ready to go and talk to their guidance counselors and sign up for these classes. And obviously that makes me excited because I'm like, yeah, these are my kids for next year. Like, let's go. Let's bring some really great things to their plates.
Oh, I love that. So Power Lunch, have those Power Lunches. What a great idea. And I'm taking away that I also heard you talk about that your students get to build a network because they're learning more about their opportunities and engaging with even professionals. And then you're building your network through the PLTW community and all of the engagement with our other teachers across the country. So very exciting. Thank you so much, Jenna, for sharing with us all of your experiences and your tips and tricks. We're going to go through a few more things here, but Jenna's going to stick around. So if you have specific questions for her, she is going to be here at the end of our presentation to answer those questions as well. All right. So we know that it's great to hear from our educators and our students. We also know that one of the best ways to see to experience a PLTW classroom is to really see it, right? To get in there and do that. We'd love for you to be able to visit in person, but for now, we do have a video since we can't physically take you to a classroom. So we're going to give you a quick 3-minute sneak peek at a PLTW classroom. So you can get before you hopefully get the opportunity to go into your a classroom physically on your own.
A lot of times I think in the sciences, it can be intimidating for teachers to go deeper on a topic because it can quickly feel convoluted or, hard for the students to grasp. But I think Project Lead the Way has helped me see ways that I can do that. It's a game changer. They get to see the community applying everything back to the life they live every day.
I've always been a very hands-on, project-based teacher. I always have felt that that's the way students learn, is by doing and figuring out and then discussing and going back and forth.
They run a lot of tests and they do a lot of really cool lab work. Some lab work that I know some people in the medical field and they were like, oh, I've never ran that test before and your juniors are doing it. So it's really cool.
What I like about it is that it's accessible to students from any academic level, it gives them maybe a different perspective for thinking through a problem that you may not have time to do in another class, especially a standards-based class. Once they kind of see how the class is run and the activities and the projects that they do, they really jump in and take control of their own learning.
I will say that starting to teach PLTW really anchored me in the teaching profession and made me realize, okay, this is where I want to be.
So great hearing from our teachers and seeing a little bit about the classroom. I'm going to put in our chat here a link to our school locator. Finding a school to visit, you can use our school locator on our website to see what schools offer PLTW near you. And Jenna, I love the connections that I heard even in that video to what you said and all the skills the students learn in high school that sometimes they don't even see until college typically. Okay, so building on that energy that we saw in the classrooms and heard from Jenna and those remarkable experiences our students have with PLTW Biomedical Sciences, let's think about how do we bring that to life. So you've seen firsthand the way PLTW has transformed the learning and teaching in schools. But the first step to that transformation is creating a strategic plan, one that meets your school's vision and goals to expand opportunities for all students. Part of that plan is having a clear view of the required investments and identifying all the funding sources available to you. Our PLTW programs vary in cost, but each program includes investment in 3 categories. Participation fees is the first category. Your professional development that we've talked about is your second, and equipment and supplies is your third. The participation fee is an annual fee. It covers all of the curriculum access and software rights for your PLTW program. Then to be able to teach one of our courses, a teacher must be trained by PLTW in our core training experience. That's the professional development they receive. This is an online or in-person training led by some of the best PLTW teachers in the country. Lastly, our curriculum is project-based and very hands-on. So there is equipment and supplies that you will need for your implementation. Now that we know more about the investments needed, let's talk about some of those funding opportunities to help your program grow, as we discussed in our earlier panel. Every year, we have a wide variety of PLTW grants available for all the different programs in our PLTW pathways. We have grants for brand new programs as well as program expansion. These PLTW grants are made possible by our partnerships with leading organizations across the country. In 2024, PLTW awarded 1,619 grants across the country, totaling $15.6 million. And this year, we have even more grants available to schools than ever before. Very exciting opportunities. So if you're looking to make a bigger impact in your district with PLTW by adding new programs, new PLTW grants will cover the cost of teacher training as well as program participation fees. We have other grants that also cover equipment and supplies. So please check out our grant opportunity webpage to find out more, and you can schedule a meeting with your local PLTW team member to dive in. We're ready and we're willing to help find out more about your school district vision and help with your grant application. Speaking of the grant application, PLTW will partner with you to walk through your PLTW implementation journey and prepare you for that grant application. Applying for PLTW grants is easy through our simple application process located in your My PLTW account. If you don't already have one, you can create this account quickly and easily on our website. We award grants on a rolling basis from July 1 to June 30, so schools may submit applications annually. PLTW keeps applications on file until June 30th of each year. So we consider schools for more than one grant opportunity throughout the funding cycle. So you want to get your grant application in as soon as possible. Our PLTW grant opportunities are amazing, especially this year, so we encourage you to apply as soon as you can. So noting the specific call out to evidence-based curriculum, I want to be sure you know about our evidence papers, one for each grade band, which enables you to dive deeper into the structure of our evidence-based curriculum. Also allows you to learn about our unique problem-based learning approach that you've heard about from our educators. And you can review and research review the research that's supporting the positive impact that PLTW has on student achievement. You can download these resources on our website as well. We have mentioned the funding opportunities. So besides those grant opportunities, we want to make sure you have access to understand the other funding opportunities that are available to utilize for PLTW programs. To help you break it down, we have a funding side-by-side resource. It's also on our website, and it will help you see what federal funds are available and which ones can be used for each of our 3 investment areas that we just discussed. So you're probably also wondering, where do I start? We want to help you with that. Next steps. We recommend that you connect with a PLTW team member to discuss any questions you have. You can also visit pltw.org. On our PLTW Biomedical Science page, you can use the range of resources. We have course outlines, course resumes, standards connections, all to help you plan your implementation. We also have blog stories about other schools that have unlocked student potential with PLTW. And don't forget, you can apply for grant funding at mypltw.org. I want to thank you for joining us today. This concludes the content of our webinar, but Jenna, as I mentioned, will stay on to answer questions. Feel free to add any questions in the chat, or you can come off of mute here in a moment. Within a few weeks, you will receive an email with the recording of the webinar and additional resources that can help answer your questions. If you would like to connect one-on-one also with a PLTW team member to develop your implementation plan, feel free to reach out to our Solution Center. The PLTW Solution Center is available 24/7. They can be reached at 877-335-7589 or solutioncenter@pltw.org. This information will also be in your follow-up email, so watch for that email. Thank you all, and we hope you have a great rest of the day, and feel free to stay on if you'd like to ask Jenna some questions.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining our computer science breakout room. My name is Kate Ashley, and I'm a director of new district engagement at Project Lead the Way. I work with all new schools and districts in a few different states around the country. Thank you for being with us. I'm so excited to share more about the computer science program. So computer science, PLTW computer science empowers students to become creators rather than just merely consumers of the technology around them. The program's 5 year-long hands-on courses engage students in compelling real-world challenges as students work together to design solutions. So they apply the various concepts of computational thinking, not just learning how to code, but how to become better problem solvers and communicators. So we'll see PLTW Computer Science consists of these 5 courses designed to guide students through the fundamentals to advanced concepts in computer science. The curriculum includes courses such as Computer Science Essentials, Computer Science Principles, Computer Science A, Cybersecurity, and the PLTW Capstone. These courses are designed to challenge students to apply their acquired knowledge to solve complex problems. This structured pathway ensures that students gain a comprehensive understanding of programming languages, software development, cybersecurity principles, and the theoretical underpinnings of computer science, preparing them for further education and careers in technology. So students of all experience levels learn and apply concepts like modularity, variables, and control structures as they work in programming, algorithm design, and including block-based programming and text-based programming. They apply computational thinking practices, build their vocabulary, and collaborate just as computing professionals do to master app development, visualization of data, cybersecurity, and simulation. So as one PLTW alum who has interned at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission said, programming is so important in every engineering discipline today. Having a strong computational background provided me the basis I needed to excel in the computational research world of nuclear engineering. So without PLTW, I would not be where I am today. So at the root of the student experience and success, of course, are our teachers. So our amazing teachers have proven time and again that you do not need to be a computer science expert to be an amazing computer science teacher. So to prepare educators to lead the learning and build their confidence in the field of computer science, we provide transformative professional development. PLTW core training is designed to create dynamic learning experiences for educators through powerful and flexible instructional support, as well as an ongoing professional community. Teachers take on the role of a student, engage in in-depth exploration of PLTW coursework, and gain irreplaceable experience to take back to their classrooms. Additionally, PLTW provides additional learning opportunities following the initial training with a professional development suite that gives all pre-K through 12 educators additional instructional and skill-based trainings to continue building student success. So something new that we're excited to offer is we have PLTW Algebra 1 Advantage. It's a new supplemental curriculum designed to revolutionize the teaching of Algebra 1. Its flexible nature allows teachers to effortlessly integrate these resources into their existing curriculum. The program focuses on enhancing student engagement in algebra through active participation and exploration. It achieves this by offering a variety of problems and projects that are not only relevant, but also aligned with educational standards, facilitating their incorporation into lesson plans. So this Algebra 1 Advantage adopts an interactive approach that links algebra to real-world scenarios, trying to answer the common question, when will I ever use this? So this connection to practical applications serves to improve students' problem-solving skills. In response to the limitations of traditional teaching methods, the program also employs interactive and applied learning techniques to make algebra more engaging and relevant. So this is achieved by including a range of topics, including financial literacy, social, environmental impact, law, criminology, architectural engineering, and more. So the goal is to enrich the overall learning experience. So we invite everyone to follow our progress. There's a QR code on the screen, or you can also go to pltw.org/A1A. And so we've got a quick video to share. We've kind of gone over the overall, let's see, we'll see if it works, but we've provided the big picture of PLTW Computer Science program. So we want to hear from some of our students. Last year, we were able to interview students from the Bartlesville High School in Oklahoma about their experience. So while watching these interviews, keep an eye out for the transportable skills that these students possess, and we're very proud of them. So let's hope the video works. You guys can give me the heads up.
The files that there is, and make sure that all the malware has been removed, and then just making sure that you prevent any other malware from being downloaded. But I think that's probably been my favorite so far.
My favorite project was probably the most challenging for me was the prisoner's dilemma in computer science principles, where we kind of got to learn how Python programs can interact with each other and kind of communicate. So that was cool.
I like PLTW because it grants you a lot more freedom. Like, you can solve a problem in your own way rather than just having to follow the curriculum.
I also took the engineering PLTW courses, and in both the computer science and engineering, you definitely get a sense of just real-world application of like what you learn in school. So math, English, just like anything that you can apply that you've already learned, you get to do in PLTW program.
This is stuff that relates to what's going on in industry today. So therefore, we can kind of have a way to really visualize and see how we can take what we learn and input it in things that are relevant to the industry today.
With PLTW, you are able to make mistakes and fix it your own way instead of having a set way of getting to one point.
You're really able to use everything that you've learned and then just put everything into that. And then with everything relating to each other, since so much like modern technology is based off of just coding and then just knowing a whole bunch of more stuff about computers than most people do. I think it's really cool.
It's super simple. Just I don't have all the answers, but I have some that other people might not have. So as these two said, you know, being able to come together to solve one big problem with, you know, one circular solution. And then also when you start beginning working in groups, you notice there's a lot of clashing, as you said, and difficulties, and some people might be too stubborn. But over time, you actually learn how to work in groups better. So once you get into CSA and second semester CSP, things are a lot more efficient.
The quality of work that you're able to do in PLTW increases as you can work in groups, and getting to work with people that you're not very comfortable working with is a great experience for the real world and in your job. So we're all going to work with people that we don't like and like. So
what I like about working in groups is that, like, it's nice to have another set of eyes. Like, you may be stuck on a problem and just like you can't get past it, but if you have someone's different perspective on it, it might have a simple solution that you're just overlooking. So it really helps you work through problems.
Yeah, I want to get my degree in mechanical engineering and probably in the long run go into like project management and stuff like that.
I'm planning on becoming an engineer. I'm not entirely sure of what type, but just engineering in general, probably.
Right now I'm debating between computer science and mechanical engineering, but for sure something research-based, where we're trying to find solutions to things.
Great. Well, every time I hear from our students, it's a clear reminder of why I do what I do, and probably for the rest of you as well. So thank you to our students for sharing their time with us last fall so that you all could hear from them directly. And now I'm really excited to introduce two of our longtime PLTW teachers. We have Randy Mills with us today. He is a PLTW engineering and computer science teacher for the last 14 years. He is a master teacher for computer science essentials and cybersecurity in our computer science program. And he won the National Computer Science Teacher of the Year Award for PLTW in 21-22. We've got Randy, and then we also have Beth. Beth is a National Computer Science Teacher of the Year for this year, 24-25, STEM educator at Pittsburgh High School in Pittsburgh, California. And Elizabeth's teaching philosophy blends real-world applications with academic standards, focusing on developing students into thoughtful global and local citizens. So Beth and Randy, we've got some questions for you. We wanted to kind of start with, I'll start with you, Randy, but what was the initial motivation for bringing PLTW computer science to your school and district?
The connection and providing a workforce for our community. Aurora, Colorado, we are lucky to have major defense contractors, as well as a Space Force base, NSA office, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin's across town. We have all of those industries within just a mile or two of our building, and we were discovering that very, very few of our students in our community were actually being employed with these industries. So for us, it was workforce based, and it guaranteed an opportunity for internships, scholarships. We've had kids now work for a couple of companies since they were juniors in high school and are now senior project coordinators on defense contracts that they can't tell me what they do, but they're doing well.
That's great. And Beth, do you want to tell us kind of what was that initial motivation for bringing PLTW computer science to your school or district?
So for us, we'd already had engineering, and when I was coming to this school, I was going to be teaching engineering, and they said, could you also teach computer science? And I was like, sure. And then I saw their curriculum, which was nothing. And it was like, have the students search on the Wayback Machine and find photos of our town. And I'm like, this is not computer science. I'm like, no. And so I knew that if I went with Project Lead the Way, because I'd been trained in engineering fields as a Project Lead the Way teacher, I knew that I would have a curriculum that I could easily stand behind and have more than a school's year's worth of resources to work with. And so I definitely wanted a curriculum that I knew could stand the test, that I could just implement and not have to do a whole lot of figuring out work.
That's nice that you already kind of had that introduction to PLTW, so you knew that it was going to be a strong curriculum for you.
Absolutely. With engineering, I was like that because I had done so many different trainings, and I'm assuming Randy's probably in the same boat. And so it was like, once we knew they existed, it was like, okay, we're going to look for a curriculum, like, done. We don't have to think too hard.
No, that's great. Well, and then going back to you, Randy, what has been the impact of PLTW computer science on your students that you've seen?
I think the best way I can describe that is opportunity. It has opened the door, whether it is in our engineering or our computer science pathways. We have strong pathways for both. And so we saw our kids 15 years ago going to colleges and going to industries that were fairly typical. But over the course of these last 15 years, we now have kids that are going to some of the most elite schools in the country. And that isn't by itself a something to be lauded, but they're going and they're doing amazing things there. It's not just we've got them there. We want to see them successful when they get there. And so we've developed some major pipelines with some very strong programs in the country. Around computer science is the one I spend most of my time, but as well as engineering. And it's exciting when kids come back and tell us, I'm on an NSF grant. I'm working on a project for I got a couple of young men that are working on a project up at University of Colorado on not 5G but 6G, and starting to look at 7G. So they are so far ahead of the rest of us in terms of what they're working on. It's just exciting. So for me, it just boils down to it's given our kids opportunities that they may not have had previously.
Yeah, absolutely. I was it's interesting because when we first thought about this question, I don't think I was going to say anything about having students making it to universities or doing something there. That wasn't ever part of what I looked at in terms of the impact or the success of the students. But keep in mind, I'm in Pittsburgh, California. We are a small, highly immigration-based town. There's no real large industries except for like Bishop Wise Carver manufacturing. There's nothing really huge in our town. You have to go pretty far. You have to get on BART and go about hour to an hour and a half to get into the Bay Area that most people think of outside of California. Even though we're right here, but no, it doesn't. It's not. Um, but even with that, like I have seen a major uptick, I will agree, with kids applying to Stanford, applying to MIT, applying to Yale, applying to these places where when I came to this school and we looked at the populations and the numbers, 18% of students went on to some form of higher education within the first year of graduation. 1/8, that's it. But I would say 85% of the students I know in the 10 years that I've been here have gone on to some form of higher education immediately post high school. So what I'm seeing is that at least in the PLTW classes or in my gears pathway, which includes computer science and engineering, as well as things like drones and the autonomous vehicle program, they are all trying to go to college. They're all trying to go straight to a 4-year or a 2-year and get more education or an apprenticeship program or something. And that is definitely something that I did not see in the numbers and the statistics when I first got to this school. So that is a huge impact. The other one is just their willingness to try. I don't know if Randy would agree with this, but I find that like when you get 9th graders and 10th graders into your system and into your process, they start out really like immature, like everybody else, and probably not so diligent, not so highly focused on their studies. But by the time I see them again, their junior, senior year, they are like, I want to do this, and they're taking another AP, or they're taking an honors class, or they're trying to do something else, or they're joining clubs, and they're up leveling both their social connections as well as their academic connections. I don't know,
Well,
Randy, do you see any of
yeah,
that?
Absolutely. And I think the best way I can describe that is a lot of our kids, because the school we're at is very urban, 70% plus free or reduced lunches. So and it's a large school, which then sometimes those kids get lost. But how I can tell that it's really impacted is I just got a request from a young man for a letter of recommendation to potentially go to Carnegie Mellon to study computer science, who as a freshman could barely find his desk on a regular basis. And now he has blossomed into just one of those amazing kids. And again, I think the key for me is not what they do immediately after school, even though college is where we're pushing, but that they're successful and they're happy doing what they're doing and they found what they should be doing. And that's the exciting part for me.
Yeah, and I would say it's not about necessarily you have to go to college. I push apprenticeships because of the area we're in. I push internships. I push whatever it is that their focus is, even if it's straight into a job or a workforce career that's local or not, that they have access to. I push them to do something to be better. But I think the whole point of what I try and focus on with them is that, and the impact of seeing that change, right? Because I have a bunch of kids who I've seen now for 4 years, and I'm getting a whole bunch of letter requests as well right now. It's a season. But it's like, if I think about who they were in ninth grade and I think about who they are now, worlds different. And yet I can see the kids that they hung out with in ninth grade, and I see those same kids in the hallway now, and I don't see that difference because they're not in some of the programs that make that same impact. And I think that's the bigger impact of these kinds of programs, with the autonomy and the rigor combined together.
Now it's great to hear that you're seeing that growth and transformation in the students. And I like that you touched on there's multiple paths to follow. It doesn't always have to be, that traditional 4-year degree, although that is wonderful. And we want them to be well prepared in that. But it's nice to know that there's, that there are other options and other pathways. And so I wanted to ask you all as teachers, we've talked about the impact on the students, but what has been, the impact on you all, and what is it like teaching a PLTW classroom?
I once described it as, to my administrators that come in, it's chaos. Because there's so much going on. You could walk into one of my classrooms and rather than just do the robotics piece that goes with Computer Science Essentials in Unit 2, those kids that are moving along and moving ahead, we actually added a drone program to that course. And that's the really cool thing about the PLTW stuff, is you can add so many more things to supplement it and to make it and take it beyond. And so it's not uncommon to walk into my room and robots are going everywhere. Drones are flying over everybody's head and down the hall. And but the best way I can describe what it's like to be a PLTW teacher is, I have an alarm clock, but I never use it. I don't think I've used an alarm clock for the last 20 years because I want to get up every day. And I'm seeing that in the students as well. This idea of they can't wait to get into the classroom and they don't want to leave. And as a result, my classroom has kind of become a clubhouse, which I think is dynamite. What a great way to advertise the PLTW stuff is. Let's go to the PLTW clubhouse.
Very similar. So I taught math for 10 years before I was taught any project lead the way. And then I started with engineering, and now it's engineering computer science. I would tell you, if I was still just teaching math, I don't know that I'd still be a teacher, in all honesty. The workload and the pacing guides and the stuff that goes into those, the fact that there's a lot of pieces and parts that when I was teaching math, like I had to do all of this extra workload and mental workload and find my own resources, because you have this curriculum you're using from Houghton Mifflin or whatever, and outside of that, we'll figure it out and go on Teachers Pay Teachers or something. And I'm like, what? But with PLTW, not only am I getting more than 100 days worth of curriculum typically in every class that you teach, so you already start with the idea you're not going to use it all. You're going to use what you need to, what you can with your kids, how it works for your students. And then the ability that you have of just with the forums and with the Facebook groups and everything else to be like, oh, you also do this, you also do that. This also could be done. This also could be done. I have been more excited to look at different things I could incorporate into my curriculum than I ever was as a math teacher. And my amount of grading I have to do, because so much of now my grading is watching what's happening in class. It's not, I don't know, Randy, what you taught before you taught any of these engineering courses or PLTW, but like with math, like the homework, the classwork, did they get the right answer, all that. Like now most of what I'm like grading is your robot did this step, or you've got your play testing through to this stage, or you have this, you debugged 5 error codes today in class. And I don't have to do a whole lot of mental load when I get home. And that frees up so much more space for me to be excited about the rest of my life, because I know that I don't have to spend the time on my own doing it because it exists already.
And for me, the best part about it being a master teacher is the support from both PLTW as well as my colleagues. One of the things that I share with my core training folks is that all of a sudden now you have, rather than being a single teacher teaching a class, you now have a cadre of 20 support systems. And the really exciting part about being a master teacher and taking those core trainings is that if you're doing it right, you've got so many more resources that are coming in. And the thing that I love to do is develop resources, especially for the cybersecurity class, which is my personal favorite. And we've got a folder that we're sharing with our participants in those core trainings that is just so, it probably is 2 years worth of teaching in addition to the cybersecurity. And that's what's really cool, is that development of that cadre and that support system with both the communities that we have online available for teachers, as well as the other teachers that have been a part of your core training. Just makes it a great support system that you don't find in other programs.
That reminded me of the fact that I've never had to worry about a observation or teacher evaluation since I started teaching Project Lead the Way at all. Like when I taught math or when my friends teach English, they worry about like when the teacher when they come in to get evaluated for that year, like what are they going to see? What about if these kids are here? What if this is happening? I've never had to worry because they're working on projects and I can just be like, sure, anytime this week they are playtesting, come down whenever. And they can and they come in, and I've also invited other people. And there's like, you know, an overflow of people. It's probably not fire appropriate number of size of bodies in my room, but they're all playing computer games that they've developed on their own, like in the computer science principles, artistic expression through code pieces. But also I tie that with like as a choose your own adventure for a form of the escape room from CSA. And I tie all those together. And so you've got kids doing all of that, and they go walk in and there's really nobody off task. And well, what are they working on? Go ahead and ask them, please. My students know, like, you're supposed to see, oh, another adult, hey, do you want to see what I got? And I've never had to worry. Like, I don't have to set up a whole lot of things.
Right. And well, that's the key. And that's the key, though, is when people come into the room, is don't ask me what they're doing, ask them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in most curriculum and core contents, is they have to go to the teacher. What are they learning?
Yep.
I don't know. I tell them, go ask them.
Well, no, you bring up a good point, because I have 2 more questions for you. Is how are you both implementing? There, you know, there's different ways that you can implement in each school, depending on the size of your school or what your focus is. So I wanted to know a little bit about how you both are implementing it in your different schools, and then also advice to schools that are thinking about this. How can they build the case to keep the program, continue growing it? Any thoughts or advice there? So it's kind of a two-part question.
We started with one class, and then we started adding additional ones. Now, in terms of the cybersecurity piece, I was actually already teaching that on stuff I was doing on my own. But then to work into and help build the cybersecurity curriculum for PLTW was an amazing adventure. But again, it's building it, one step at a time, because the key to this, I really believe, is that PLTW in a building that is going to be successful has to build a following. It can't be just a course they take. It has to be a commitment to learning and a style of learning. And so building that following is what to me, I think is key. And the second question on that is, advice is find that crazy teacher. Find that teacher that can build that following and have that teacher then turn around and find that kid or that group of kids, because it is from that core of that enthusiasm from that teacher, from that enthusiasm of those kids, that that following will develop. And what happens is they then storm the counseling office to get we need these classes, we need more sections of this. And then the last piece of advice, the single most important people in a school for developing a program is not administrators, it's not the district people, it's your counselors. The counselors are the ones that are going to schedule kids into those classes, and making them aware of what PLTW does, what it can do, and what it provides for everybody. And regardless of the type of student they are, though, when those counselors are involved in that process, you all of a sudden now have an advocacy group that goes well beyond just one teacher tilting at a proverbial windmill. So those are my bits of advice, and for whatever they are. But again, it's finding that one person, that one crazy person that's willing to take it on. And I think with Beth and I, you can see that you got
I
the
don't know
crazy
what
people.
you're talking about a crazy no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah. So that
And
that's it.
I would qualify that though. I wouldn't say you
Yeah,
find the one crazy person. It's kind of like the idea of consent, right? It's
yeah,
enthusiastic yes or it's a no. You
yeah.
find the teacher that they go, really? What's that? Yeah, I'm interested. And that's going to be the teacher. Like if the teacher that you're trying to get to run this program, just like, oh, how much work do I have to do? Oh, well, am I going to have, like, if they're not enthusiastic about learning that curriculum or figuring out a new thing, they're not that right fit for the program to be your lead, to be your first door into the system. I'm not saying they can't join it later. I have multiple who were like that and now they're part of my program and now they teach classes. But those people need to see it first, and they need to see it with their kids before they can actually see it for themselves. And so they're not going to be the first choice. And I think that's what I would say, Randy. I would agree with you about the crazy person. Find the one who's enthusiastically yes. For this school, that was me and one of my coworkers. Um, but it's also about letting admin and counselors see the impact on a consistent basis. Because if you just tell them, just like when you tell students, just like when you tell your kids to clean their room, it doesn't really, it goes in one ear out the other. It's not a big thing. But I think for both of us, we would agree, we are inviting people into our rooms on a consistent basis. I've had school board members, I've had Congress people, I've had industry personnel, I've had, district office people, just like secretaries and stuff, as well as my counselors. I try and get them in every quarter
Yeah.
to just come into my class and see what they're doing and come talk to my kids.
And
Typically, like instead of doing a presentation and you grade it, I ask them to come in and grade 3 to 5 for my
yeah.
kids.
And
It makes a world of difference.
one of the things that happens is school district personnel tend to do visits in a building, but they tend to go to the math and the English classes. So when I know that they're in the building and I get word that they're in the building, I stand in the hallway and I don't let them by until they've stuck their head into my room. And again, with Beth, I've had congressmen, I think, uh, state senators,
Ooh, I
federal
haven't done that yet.
federal legislators stroll through my
That'd be
room.
awesome.
I've got a several school board members who just come to the school just to come to my class.
Yep.
And there's times when the administrators freak out because they'll be sitting there and there's two school board members sitting in my classroom playing with my students trying to figure out why this program won't work. And it wasn't supposed to be an official visit day. And
Yep.
and,
That's
and
always
the
fun.
other success is when other teachers start sticking their head into your room. What's going on in there? Why is everything so exciting in there? And why are the kids getting up in the morning to go to that class?
Or they're leaving for a doctor's appointment, but making sure they come back in time to come to your class is a thing too that I see happens. And I would say that's a huge part of how, if you have any PLTW classes currently in your school, how you can help reinforce the value of it. If you're trying to start it, then the bigger thing, and I think the biggest thing, is to doing these kinds of things where you can talk to other people about the impact, or the virtual visits to the schools, because I know there's some of that coming up, and that, or a physical visit if there's a school within near you that can do that. And I think that just being open to the idea of how can we engage more, because one of the hard parts about computer science and engineering and even biomed to some extent is that they're elective courses for people, and they see them as, well, no, we need to work on our math curriculum, we need to work on our English curriculum, we need to work on our blank curriculum. But I think both Randy and I would be on the same page as saying, if they're in our class, they are doing math and they are doing English work and they are doing science, and all of those things have a heavy impact. I've had the number of kids that come back and tell me, hey, like, I understood what we did in math more because of what we did last week in our class. My writing is better and I got an A on my essay for the first time in this class because of the way you made me restructure my comments, and having to think about those pieces. And so I think showing how the application of those core classes actually makes such a vital difference to the students in the school becomes one of the pieces that can best help with implementation.
Well, and I think you guys, it's a perfect segue. Speaking about virtual visits, we've got a little video to show a classroom visit. But Beth and Randy, thank you so much for your time and for your enthusiasm in your classrooms, in your schools, but also for sharing this with other prospective or current PLTW schools. So thank you so much for your time. And with that, I'm going to share my screen again. And perfect segue, Beth. I appreciate that. To talk about, let's make sure the sound works. To give you all an opportunity, of course, we wish we could show you a PLTW classroom, but since we can't actually go in physically, we're going to do a quick 3-minute video just to show you kind of what that looks like.
Project Lead the Way has affected everything about how I teach. The whole APB methodology in, building up the activities and then transferring those skills and knowledge to the project, and then to transferring that to the real world problem, that is key.
I want to get into IT. I'd like to do that when I get older.
It's like a cool experience for me. I took it just to see what it was like, and it's actually pretty fun. Just seeing how computers work and making, as you saw, the gains. I think that's pretty cool and fun.
I know the kids are getting the knowledge and skills that they need to be able to transfer into a problem and then fulfilling a project.
My favorite thing is that it's problem solving. So if you do something and it's wrong, the Miss Shaw will have us figure it out ourselves, and she'll point us in the right direction, and it's just more problem solving based. I think it applies to our other classes to where if I get something wrong, I can just look back at what I did wrong and try to figure it out myself. PLTW is definitely different because it's more interactive. You're with others the whole time, when in other classes you're by yourself, just working alone.
It's fun. I get to work with my friends. We will all work together.
It's definitely teamwork and strategizing more through it.
I would say that Project Lead the Way changed me as a teacher, which then in turn changes the classroom dynamic, because before you're the disseminator of knowledge and the kids are getting it. What Project Lead the Way has taught me is that I'm the partner with them. I'm the facilitator. I am learning right along with them. Project Lead the Way does it right.
So we will put a link in the chat, but if you want to find schools in your area that are implementing PLTW, we've got a school locator on our website where you can look to find some schools in your area. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about the investment of PLTW. So we heard from our panelists, Beth and Randy, how they've seen firsthand the way that PLTW has transformed the learning and teaching in their schools. But the first step in this transformation process is creating a strategic plan, one that meets your school's vision and goals to expand opportunities for all students. So part of that plan is having clear view of the required investments and identifying all the funding sources available to you. So PLTW programs vary in cost, but each program includes investments in 3 categories: the participation fees, professional development, and equipment and supplies. The participation fee is an annual fee that covers all of the curriculum access and software rights for your PLTW programs. So to be able to teach one of our courses, a teacher must be trained by PLTW in our core training experience. This is an online training led by some of the best PLTW teachers in the country, including our panelists today. Lastly, our curriculum is project-based and very hands-on, so there are some equipment and supplies that you will need for your implementation. So now that you know a little bit more about the investments, I just wanted to talk quickly about some of the funding opportunities to help you grow your programs. So each year we have a variety of PLTW grants available for all of the different programs in our pathways. We have grants for brand new programs as well as program expansion. These PLTW grants are made possible by our partnerships with leading organizations across the country. In 2023, PLTW provided 1,644 grants, totaling $17.6 million, awarded throughout all 50 states and District of Columbia. And this year we have more grants available to schools than ever before. So if you're looking to make a bigger impact in your district with PLTW by adding new programs, new PLTW grants will cover the cost of teacher training, as well as the program participation fees. So we have other grants that cover equipment supplies specifically. So please check our grant opportunity webpage to find out more and schedule a meeting with your local PLTW team member. So we're ready and willing to talk to you kind of about your vision and help you with your grant application. So to start with, PLTW will partner with you to help you with your implementation journey. So applying for PLTW grants is very easy. We've got a simple online application that you can get to through your My PLTW portal. So if you don't already have one, you can create this account quickly and easily on our website. And then we award grants on a rolling basis from July 1st through June 30th. So schools may submit applications annually, and we keep those applications on file until June 30th of each year. So we can consider schools for more than one grant opportunity throughout the funding cycles. So we're really thrilled that we are able to offer these grant opportunities and through our partnerships. And so we really encourage you to apply. And so noting the specific call out to the evidence-based curriculum, I want to be sure that you know about our evidence papers. We have one for each grade band, which enable you to dive deeper into the structure of our evidence-based curriculum, learn more about our unique problem-based learning approach, and review the research supporting the positive impact PLTW has on student achievement. So you can download these resources directly from our website. And then besides PLTW grants, there are several funding opportunities for you to utilize. To help you break it down and compare, we've created a funding side-by-side resource also on our website. This will help you see what federal funds are available and which one can be used for our 3 investment areas. And you're probably wondering, this is a lot of information, where do I start? We want to help you with that. Like Randy and Beth alluded to, we want to be a community of support for you, and we are here to help. So we recommend that you connect with a PLTW team member to discuss any questions you have. You can start with going to our website, pltw.org. You can go to our computer science page. You can look at a range of resources, including course outline, course resume, and also standards connections to help plan your implementation. You can read some different blog stories about how other schools have unlocked student potential. And again, you can also apply for that grant funding through our website and through our portal, mypltw.org. And that concludes the content of our webinar today. We're so thankful that you took the time to learn more about the computer science program. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to our PLTW Solution Center, available 24/7 at solutioncenter@pltw.org. All of this information that I just mentioned will be included in the follow-up email. So in about 1 week, you'll receive an email with the recording of this webinar and additional resources to answer any questions that you might have. So thank you all for joining us today, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much.